What's up, everybody? It's another beautiful day in the bonsai jungle, except today we're not in the bonsai jungle. We're going to the Chicago Botanic Garden. It's the first day of the August show and sale, and Bjorn Bjorholm is going to be here. So that's going to be a walk-through show critique that I'm going to be attending. And then, of course, I'm getting here as early as I possibly can to look at all the vendors, make sure nobody buys the same trees that I want to buy. So let's go take a look, see what they got in store for us this year. So I'm going to start this off with the Colorado blue spruce, which is a species I've been wanting to work on for years because I think the foliage, the blue color, would make an interesting bonsai. However, I always assumed that the growth habit was too coarse, but in recent years I found that you can refine it and miniaturize the foliage a little bit and get a good looking tree, so that gives me the incentive to go buy 100 seedlings of my own and plant them in the backyard, see what I can do with them. Next up, this is another spruce. I don't know which species, but I really like the twin trunk design. I like that the one on the left has a lot of curvature in the trunk. The deadwood kind of reminded me of devil horns. And I think the only thing that I didn't like about this was that the apex on the right hand side was a little bit flat for a conifer. I always like seeing the more triangular shape, but other than that, really nice tree, something I'd love to have in my collection. So this is a Dawn Redwood Forest. It's just a filler as I transition over to the world famous Scandinavian Viking bonsai master Bjorn Bjorholm. He was the one who was giving the critique at the exhibit today.
This tree here, very similar to the Ponderosa over there. Take probably 15-20 minutes. We can just prune up some of the misplaced needles on the tree, and it will refine this tree to the nth degree. I chose this tree because for the award because the structure of the trunk is incredible. It's got a ton of ramification. Needles are in proportion to the size of the tree. The pot is actually a good choice, and as a matter of fact, this is one of those universally usable pots. You can use it with a tree that's almost Boonjin-like. You can use it with a tree that's almost informal upright. You can use it with a cascade. You can use it with a semi-cascade. A whole bunch of different styles will work with this. So anytime you run across a pot like this, or what's called a rinka pot, which is basically the same shape, but it's got a little bit more of a sort of flowery look to the top. It actually translates to flower pot, or round flower. But in any case, those two styles of pots are easily usable with a huge range of styles and species. So buy them up if you find them. Also, the accent works really well. I like the two flat slabs essentially, but they're different styles, so it works quite well. So that's why I chose this guy here. And then this one is just obvious by the sizzle. It's open over here. So, and the cool thing about this is that you can follow the photos in the bottom there. It was completely built and developed in the United States. So I think it says on there that Chase Rosade originally built this tree for a demo, and then Bill acquired it, but that was in 1980. Right, and it looks like in the picture in 1980 it was probably about 5 years old at that point, so it's probably built around 1975 or started around 1975. But the only way to get deciduous trees that look like this is to do what Bill has done with this tree, which is entirely grow it in a container for its entire life. Right, so how many years is that? Right, 40 something years, 45, something like that. Right? An incredible amount of time went into this, but that's the only way to get this quality. So this is one of those where you look at the trunk, there might be a few small scars here and there from branches that have died off through the years, but it wasn't built by planting it in the ground and trunk chunk. You cannot get that look by doing that, right? So I've been preaching this for years, but Bill is the only person I know of really in the States, and there are a handful of other folks, but Bill is the main guy in the States who has so many trees in his collection he's built himself. You can really see the results, by spending the time doing this. So, any questions about this one?
Do you know if you showed that in a national show?
So that was just a short critique. I didn't take a video of the entire thing because I didn't want to be too obnoxious with the video recording. But anyways, it was a wonderful input on a lot of the trees in the show, and it went by super fast. It was an hour long, but the whole critique, it felt like it passed in 15 minutes. Here we have an eastern white pine. It's a species that's not typically used for bonsai because the foliage tends to be too long and floppy. However, there are a lot of cultivars these days with more miniaturized foliage. So if I remembered to, I really wish I asked Bjorn what he thought about this during the critique, but, I guess that's too bad, so sad. But I thought that was a nice example of eastern white pine in the show. Loved seeing an example of one of my favorite species. And this is a semi-cascade maple. I really like the stone because it looks like a small water feature in the landscape. And I've never seen a blue stone slab like that before, and I want to get one. So if anybody knows who's selling blue stone slabs like this that look like a little lagoon, please think of me. Up next, we have the classic bald cypress and carnivorous plant combo, something I've been wanting to do for years, and I got some ideas as to how I'm going to make well, I don't even want to ruin the surprise for what I'm going to do, but I feel like in the next couple of years here, I'm going to put together a bald cypress arrangement that hopefully is going to look like a superstar, amazing little carnivorous plant bog. So nice seeing those. And then here we had these two conifers. I loved these because they looked like something out of a cartoon. And not in a bad way, I just mean that it looks like very artistic, as if it's drawn or painted. And I think the scroll in the back kind of helps tie that concept together in my head. So I would love to have two trees like this in my collection. Really nice seeing them. This was, I believe, a Japanese white pine that was grafted onto lodgepole pine and had a nice characteristic, more of like a wild looking tree, and then the pot had that kind of irregularity on the right hand side. So I really like the way that this one looked. Here's a short clip of the vendor area, and I didn't really take too much footage because, once again, I didn't want to be an obnoxious asshole sticking my camera in everybody's face, even though everybody's recording videos on their phone these days. But, my mantra is just keep your head down, don't bother anybody. Alright everybody, welcome back to the Bonsai Jungle. So that was an awesome exhibition today, and great critique with Bjorn. At the very end, I wanted to go up and shake his hand, but I have this mental thing where I'm like, okay, Bonsai Jungle, and I better just shut my mouth because I'll be like a cockroach crawling across the floor in his presence. But still, it was surreal seeing somebody that you've watched for years on YouTube in real life, which sounds weird because it should be the complete opposite since that's more real than a video, but you know what I mean, man. Anyways, I brought home some trees today. I'll start with these because they're just little seedlings of theoretically a juniper virginiana. Although I thought she mentioned something about it being a sea green variety. I don't know, I don't really care. I like the foliage, and I think we can plant them in the ground back in the garden there and get some good twists in them while they're still young. Have that all get old and fused together. So those will be 3 projected junipers. Next, I have a wonderful tree because this tree, when I saw it, it really gave me this reminiscence of back when I was a kid and kind of the feeling that bonsai brought to me of being out in the wilderness, out in the woods, kind of old trees, reverting back to nature, man. I had this, great idea that I was just going to go live with the wolf pack and just, I don't want an office job and be part of society, dude. I want to go live in the wild. So this tree, it gave me that kind of feeling. It's a multi-trunk white cedar, and it's got some deadwood here, it's got deadwood here, and that kind of makes a 90-degree angle, so I don't like it too much. I think I may end up removing that piece. We've got more deadwood here, so we can always probably work something out. There's a piece here in the front that's kind of an eye poker, so I'm probably going to chop that off. But overall, kind of a clump style eastern white cedar. I think that's what it is. I don't remember the name usually, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm excited to work on that, refine this foliage to maybe make kind of a little bit more of a pad structure. It's a little bit, ratty, and I think this species kind of grows like that, but I'll see what I can do in terms of refining that. And last but not least, we got a procumbens juniper. Finally, this is kind of the size range I've been looking for in terms of procumbens junipers to match my other one. And then I really like the trunk on here. It's kind of very swirly dead wood. It's got, it's swirly live wood, and then we got 2 dead woods over here. And then I'm breaking off the dead wood on the tree in front of it, so I better be more careful. But the foliage needs to be a little bit refined. This is kind of like an egg shape, and I think the trunk kind of gets lost in it. So I definitely want to refine some of those foliage pads, probably in the fall. I'll see if I can work on that. And then the pot, I don't think it works with this tree. It's kind of heavy, kind of blocky. What I'm going to do probably is choose one of these two pots. So of course this would be an oval shape, a little bit more shallow and kind of a softer, and maybe adjust that somewhere to either have it more extreme on the end or kind of rebalance it more. But what I thought might be interesting is a round pot, and get that tossed into a round pot, and I kind of have like two visual anchor points with it kind of accentuating the twists and bends in the deadwood and the trunk between them. So the round pot may be an option. I'll have to take a look and think about it. I just brought these trees home. So it'll be a little bit of contemplative meditations before I do anything. And then I'm remaking this part of the video because I completely forgot that I bought bonsai pots. And this was a cool little one. It had a matching twin that somebody else bought. So I saw it being put back in the rack where the sold stuff is being held. I'm like, man, I wish I could have gotten the pair. It was a shallow one, same white color, except it had cherry blossoms on it, I think. So anyways, very nice kind of porcelain pot, painted of course. I've been wanting to start to collect these. I saw like $500 ones online that I really wanted to get. Maybe I'll get them eventually, but not right now. I want to at least save money for the show. So I wonder, I had this crazy idea to put, obviously anytime I think of a tall pot, I think of putting a cascade in it. When I think of cascade, I think, okay, only evergreens can be cascade. But I think I want to do something super crazy with this and put a Japanese maple in it, make it a semi-cascade Japanese maple, and it will be one with red foliage. It's one of those blood goods that has the red foliage all year, more like that purplish red. And I think that may match with the color scheme of this pot pretty well. So I'm excited for that. And then I got another Sarah Rayner pot. These ones that I just mentioned for the juniper, those are both Sarah Rayner pots. And then this is another one to match my collection. And it's kind of interesting, kind of has a bulky size to it. It was 135, so not too bad. And then I saw this kind of texture on the front of it, matched that with the color of the pot. It reminded me of like an alligator skin, so I thought, what if I put a bald cypress in here? Although, I don't know if the size of the pot would work. I mean, I don't really have even anything that I have particularly in mind. I just know, okay, one of the bald cypress that I'm growing, I'm probably going to throw it in here one day. So with the depth of the pot, I think that would be a little bit good to just get more of a soil mass in here, since bald cypress like it wet, and that'll help retain some of the moisture. I also thought maybe I'll just do a small larch forest, and then this kind of green on the pot maybe would be nicer, put some more moss with the larches. They grow a little bit more wet, and kind of have more of this organic forest in here with some rocks placed in there as kind of accents for this small forest. But we'll see. I'll decide what I'm going to do with it. It's kind of similar to these pots. I just like the Sarah Rayner pots, so I bought 3 of them now. These are from last year, which I have yet to do anything with, but I know I will one day. So, pretty good haul for today. I'm very happy with my purchases. As always, good luck with your bonsai, and I'll see you in the next video if I don't shut down my channel by the end of this out of embarrassment. See ya.